Hi, you're welcome to another episode of Safety Moments with walieyullah. Today we shall be talking about welding operations. Welding operation is one of the critical operations that is being undertaken in the construction industries most of the time, and we shall be elaborating and discussing more about these welding operations, the hazards involved, the risk involved, the acute and chronic effect of welding operations. Remember to subscribe. In the construction industry, there are different kind of welding operations that has been taking place. We have the arc welding, we have the argon welding, we have the oxyfuel welding, that is oxyacetylene welding, we have the exothermic welding, we have the friction welding, we have forge welding. There are various kind of welding operations that take place in the construction industry, and each type of welding operations comes with its own hazards. The hazards to the individual, the welders, and also the hazard to the environment. There are various physical hazards that comes along with welding operations, such as burns, eye damage, cuts, and the likes. When welders, especially for arc welding, there are some kind of lights, radiations that comes with it that have direct impact on the individual carrying out the welding operations. That is why various PPEs are being provided for use. Meanwhile, there is a limitation to the kind of control you have when it comes to changing from one welding operations to another based on the kind of materials that is being welded together. Arc welding has its own use, argon welding has its own use, oxyacetylene welding has its own use. Oxyacetylene or oxyfuel welding, for example, comes with what we call, most of the time, comes with explosion because of the combination of oxygen and fuel which are required for a fire to start. Other hazards that are involved in welding include electric shock. When you are carrying out welding operations such as arc welding, for example, which is common in most construction industries, we have the issue of electrocution, electric shock, especially when you fail to apply the earthing system that is being provided along with the welding equipment. Exposure to fumes and gases. When welding operation takes place, the fumes that comes out from the welding operation, both from the material that is being welded and the equipment itself, can pose serious dangers to individuals. And we have what we call the acute and the chronic effect, which we shall discuss later along as we join us in the discussion. If you find this very beneficial, why not subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you continue to get updates on various safety discussions. Subscribe. I'll be going on. Subscribe. Okay, let me turn back. Now let's go into what we call acute and chronic. When we talk about acute, we mean what we have immediate effect on human. Let's talk, for example, when a welding operation is taking place. Someone who is the welder, for example, most times, if not coordinated based on ergonomics training, actually positions themselves in such a way that it leads to the deformation of their body, the depositioning of their body, the bones, the muscles, and on the long run, it has a chronic effect. But that moment where there is a change in position, poor posture, ergonomics, at the end of the day, it has an effect on the body and can lead to serious pain after the operations. When we're talking about ergonomics, we are talking about the relationship between the work being done, the person doing the work, and how the work is being done. So that is what we call ergonomics. So when there is no smooth relationship between the work being done, how the work is being done, and the person doing the job, definitely it will lead to poor posture, which can have acute effect of body pain on the individual. And when there is poor positioning, it can also lead to poor delivery, poor quality of job being done, because the person is not in his comfort position to actually do the job in the best of ways. We also have what we call acute respiratory health effect, which are irritations to the throat and damage to the lungs. The airways get damaged. When these fumes, imagine that you are melting, you're carrying out a welding operation which involve melting two metal bodies. The fumes are made up of the oxide of that particular metal, and when you inhale that kind of fume into your system, definitely it's going to store there into your lungs, and we have serious consequences, which at the immediate stage, which I'm talking about acute, will now involve irritation to the throat. You start bringing out mucus and other serious irritations it can even lead to bleeding when the effect gets very severe. And when this acute irritation becomes so severe, it can induce what we refer to as asthma. We also have what we call fume fever, which are part of the consequences, and acute pneumonia. On the chronic side, when we're talking about chronic, we mean the long-term effect of this. There are various long-term effects of inhaling these fumes, which also include, as we know, lung cancer, occupational asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, asphyxiation. On the very severe side of welding operation is neurological symptoms, which is similar to Parkinson, and which is distortion of speech and balance of the individuals affected. That is why in the safety world there is serious concern about welding operations. That is why we focus on those that carry out welding operations, not only to prevent explosion, not only to prevent fire, electric shock, but also to prevent the chronic effect of welding operations on the individuals. Remember, it is human to be human. It is human to be human. We need to value human, and that is why the resultant effect, the long-term effect of whatever they do in the workplace should be our concern. We don't want a situation where someone who has spent 15 years, 20 years, 30 years working in occupational environment, in the construction environment, in the oil and gas environment, then when it's time for retirement, then it starts using the money he has saved up to start treating various illnesses. And that is why we advocate for a safer workplace. Join us as we continue on the discussion on welding operations. This is where we are going to end for today. If you really enjoy this discussion and you want us to continue on various topics, kindly comment in the comment section a very important topic that you think we can discuss about. Thank you and God bless you. Remember to subscribe.